Hello, hello, hello. Warm audience. This is going to be great. I really, really appreciate it. For those of you guys who don't know, my name is Omar S. Kamara. I am the writer, director, and one of the producers of African Giants. And I think, well, a lot of people in here are in the industry, so like, I think you guys will understand, like, sometimes in this industry we can get so focused on like, what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing, and I feel like I've kind of been doing that this last couple weeks, and then literally before yesterday when we had our first kickoff, it just hit me where I was like, my debut feature, which I made with a bunch of friends for no money, with no industry backing, is having a 7-day theatrical release, and it just hit me that that's like a very, very special moment. So, thank you. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming out to support independent filmmaking and sharing this special moment with us. We're going to have a 30-minute Q&A after the screening with special guest moderator Travon, the director of Oscar winner Travon, director of Two Distant Strangers, and then one of our actors, Sheku, Omete Anassi. What's funny is Omete Anassi is an associate producer on this film, but he's real fancy. He's at Juilliard now. So he has not seen this film in the theater with an audience ever in its final form. So we're really excited for him to see it tonight and then to talk with him up here afterwards. So please hang around. Thank you all for coming. I love y'all, and we'll talk more later.
Thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate it. My name is Leo. I'm one of the producers on the film. We're going to get started on the Q&A so the Laemmle doesn't kick us out. I'm going to introduce our first and our special moderator. He's an Academy Award and 5-time Emmy Award winning writer, director, producer, and comedian. He wrote and co-directed his first short film, Two Distant Strangers, which won him the Oscar for Best Live Action Short in 2021. Please welcome Travon. All right, so we got the second guy. You guys saw him at the beginning. He's a cool dude. He's a brother of mine. He's a great creative. He's the writer and director of African Giants. It's Omar Kamara. There's another guy who snuck in from Juilliard just to fly over here just for this this one screening. He's hiding behind the little window over there. But let's give a warm hand for Omete Anassi.
Can we get a round of applause for our producer, please? Yes. Nothing happens without that, brother. I'm not gonna cry.
How you guys doing? Good. You guys enjoying the movie? Sorry, I'm just gonna put this straw in the water really quick. Omar, when I see new and very talented filmmakers and people who are, expanding this space with our stories and our faces, I always wonder first, what made you want to tell this story and what made you want to tell this story now? And how much of your life have you given to bringing us here today with this story?
That's a big question. But before I do that, thank you so much. I'm so honored that you're here. And like, just when they read his bio, I'm like, this man, I gotta get my weight up, bro. Like, this man.
I didn't think we was gonna get him.
Yeah. But I think before we jump into it, I just want to say every person who was in the audience who was a part of making this film, could you stand up for me very quickly? Like, we got a lot of casting crew.
Come on, Beyonce, I saw you in here.
So we got our BTS photographer, Lorena, here. Co-producer, Patrick Esberg. My creative partner and editor, Lily Judge, who's done every film I've made. Ming Season. Costume designer. Also done every film I've done. And September Burks, our makeup artist. And Deontay Gray, who is moral support, BTS photographer, and one of the athletes of the basketball team. So thank y'all. I think to answer the question, I think that this is a film that's kind of been sitting with me for a long time, mainly because I very stupidly did like the Hollywood thing where like I graduated from AFI and I got signed and I called my parents. I was like, I made it. I was like, I'm doing it. Like from Fatigu to Hollywood, it's happening. And was doing a bunch of meetings and doing that whole thing. And I would call my dad and be like, Dad, this came from a meeting with Viola Davis's company. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of looking for my stuff. So we'll see. Nothing happened. A lot of conversations, a lot of keep us posted. Let's keep talking. And eventually, I just was sitting there and thinking about all the greats that I look up to, like Barry Jenkins, Damien Chazelle, Desmond Daniel Cretton. And I realized like there was like a through line with all of them, which is that they all did like a micro budget feature before they did their big thing. So it's Medicine for Melancholy before Moonlight. There's a Guy and Madeline on a Park Bench before Whiplash. There's I Am Not a Hipster before Short Term 12. So I was like, I want to shoot something that's like super contained, that I don't have to wait for someone to give me the green light for, that I can do myself. And so I started to dream up this idea. And originally, I was like, I'm gonna do it for like $25,000. I was like, it's gonna be super low key. We're shooting in my apartment. Maybe my brother will actually be in it. Like, we'll figure it out. And then Leo DM'd me, and I literally thought he wasn't a real person. And he was like, yo, we should talk. And I literally, my fiance, who is not here today, but is like the backbone of everything, a lot of our stories in this film, my fiance was like, you should just meet with him. And I was like, but what if he's like a psycho? And she was like, the worst that could happen, something bad that could happen. So I met with Leo, and yeah, he's a little bit.
I mean, he kind of is.
Yeah. I met with Leo, and he was like, yo, I love your scripts. I see your stuff online. I can't do anything at a big level, but if you can do like something micro budget, I said, funny you ask. I'm gonna make this movie for $25,000. And Leo was like, if that's what you want to do, I'm in, bro. And so that's how we started, and we did not make the movie for $25,000. But it's because of his support that I could go along with it. So it is 95% autobiographical, all real conversations I had. Like I just said, it's a lot of stuff that me and my fiance went through. So we shot this in 2022, so wrote it in 2021. So it's been a long journey, and it never ends.
Yeah, it's always a long journey with this stuff, man. How did you find this story? How did you end up, becoming an African giant?
You know, it's funny. So, sorry, I'm really bad at these things. Me and Omar here, I want to say that there is such a beautiful thing that happens in acting where you do things and you're chasing the money, of course, and you're broke as hell and you're trying to figure it all out. And when I got a short film called Mass Ave that's on HBO Max, all of my team told me not to do it because we weren't gonna make any money unless the film made money. And then I met this guy and I said, yo, I like this guy, I wanna work with this guy, I don't care if it doesn't, I haven't done anything that has inspired me in so long. I just wanna work with this guy, please let's do it. And then COVID hit and we couldn't do it for a while. But then once we finally did it, I remember this day so clearly. We were shooting on the very final day. It was a police scene, and it wasn't working. And he comes to me and he goes, "Yo, Omete, like it's not working. What do we do?" And I've never had a director ask me, well, "What do we do?" Like, which I think speaks to this guy's ability to like be available for anything.
What wasn't working about it?
So it was the police.
You were being approached by like 3 different cops.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be like this super tense scene. And basically what would happen is like, they would be like this, stand still, stand still, stand still. Stand still, stand still, stand still. And the message like, hey, they're kind of supposed to be pressuring me, but they're just like stopping. And so I thought of the scene forever.
Yeah.
We put it up on camera. I'm like, why is this like whack? Like this is like,
yeah.
and that's what I asked.
And then literally, which of course, for all of y'all who know film, it's like I told him like, yo, you gotta flip the world. We have to flip the world. We're walking up to them, trying to leave. They have to walk up to us because the audience has to feel that
And push us back is what he said.
and push. Yeah. Which I mean, that's an hour switch. And Omar was like, yo. Yeah, all right, let's do it. And then we switched the whole thing. We did it. And that was a very interesting day because the police actually got called on us on that day.
Yeah, ironically.
Yeah. But after that, I remember you came up to me and you said, hey, I'm writing a feature. You're going to be in it. And I'm gonna write it with you. And I went, oh yeah, I'm down. Anything you do, I'll do. I'll follow you in the fire. So that's how I found it. I found it through the short film.
Were there any experiences you had making the film that you found challenging, that you didn't expect to be challenging, and were there things that you actually found easier than you anticipated when you were doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I was not expecting that was gonna be so challenging was emotionally. Like, I don't think I've made anything this raw, like up to this point. And I think the scene where the older brother is like, out for the count and his little brother takes care of him. Unfortunately, that actually happened to me. And I literally was like, my little brother was like leaving me. And I was like, please don't leave me. Like, please don't leave me. And he came and sat next to me. And I think on the day we were shooting that scene, there was like a little like, I don't mean little, but there's like a director's shadow person that was there for that day. And she walks up to me and she goes, man, you're killing it. I feel like I would be so emotional if I was shooting this scene based on my real life. I said, no, I think I'm kind of good. She was like, man, if it was me, I would be kind of a disaster. I was like, no, I think I'm kind of good. I literally walk into the room and we're setting up the next shot. I start bawling. Like I literally
emotional motherfucker I've ever met.
I start bawling. So I'm sobbing on set, and somebody was like, hey, you need to go get Omete. Go get Omete. So all of a sudden I'm bawling. I look up and Omete is just sitting on the ground next to me. He's just holding my foot. And they just sat there. My DP sat next to me, Omete sat next to me. I just sobbed for like a good 30 seconds. I'm like, I'm good. And then afterwards, we shot it. And then what happened with you afterwards? Do you remember?
Are you talking about my brother?
And when you went outside?
So I lost my brother, and he's here with us right now. Shout out to
And you told me that day.
And this was very, very far into shooting, and it's a whole shoot about brothers. And I don't know why it just did not occur to me to reveal this. It was like my little secret for a while, I think. And in that day, I was like, no, I actually think I want the entire set to know that I lost my brother. And as we're doing this story about brotherhood and the relationships between brothers, I want y'all to know for this that I'm doing this for him. And he would like this. I think that he's a picky motherfucker, man, and he would like this. Tessa knows him. He would like this, and that was so important to me, I think. And it was only on that day that I said, hey, I just want y'all to know that my brother died like a couple months ago at that time. But we gonna do a bit. We gonna do it for him. We're doing it now, and then we shot the scene, and it was crazy.
What role did that play in you bonding as brothers on screen? Like, did you use any of that because you guys have such a strong connection, you feel so genuine with each other and so authentic. Well, like, as a director, Omar,
I'm just so proud of you.
and as an actor, what are you guys doing to infuse that relationship, to bring that authenticity, onto the screen?
I think, in a very beautiful way, Dillon Daniel Mutyaba, who is, I mean, that's a guy. Yeah, come on now. That is a guy, man. And he, at the time, was auditioning for Juilliard. I'm a fourth year at Juilliard right now. He's a third year at Juilliard.
Casual.
Which you applied to on the set of Mass Ave.
Yeah, I was practicing Shakespeare shit.
Yeah, I remember. I was in between takes. I was like, you don't need this shit. You don't need this Juilliard shit. We got this. We're going.
Yeah, I forgot that. I've never done Shakespeare before, and I was like trying to learn Shakespeare while we were shooting Mass Ave. That is so. You are such a part of my acting life. It's crazy. But I meet this guy because I just, and shout out to Lily, shout out to Suzanne, who's not here, shout out to Omar for letting me just I was in the casting process, I was in the writing process, I was in so much. So
By the way, Omete's an associate producer, if I didn't say that on the film. So he's an actor and associate producer of the film.
Which he granted me at the end. He was like, yo, But I just kept asking questions and I just wanted to be a part. So I said, can I just be in casting? And I said, yeah, actually just read with the guy because we're trying to find your brother, so just read with the guy. So I read with him, and the guy goes, yeah, I just applied for Juilliard. I said, oh, I go to Juilliard, man. Good luck. I hope you get in, whatever. Guy gets casted. It's fine. It works. he gets in, and we have a buddy system in Juilliard, and I'm thinking another. There's a guy from Houston that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm probably gonna get this Houston kid, and one of my classmates goes, no, I think you're gonna get this guy named Dillon. He's like, he's just like you. I said, Dillon Daniel Mutyaba? Like, yeah, you're gonna get paired with him. So he ends up, after the whole shit, ends up being my Juilliard like buddy system line. And then right when we figure that out, we fly to LA and shoot this movie. So before, every day we would show up a bit early, and I would teach him some of the like the voice warm-ups and the things that we do, so that he was like, you know, prepared for school, but also, you know, we could do the thing. Yeah. So all that to say, that's my dog. That's a long way to say that's my dog. I love that brother, and I think he is so good. I think he is like a generational talent. I actually can't even watch this. It's my third time watching it, second maybe, and I can't watch it because I think he is like, I don't need any. I think he's blowing me out the water in every scene, and I love that because you want to be with somebody who's like, oh, if I don't bring it, you're gonna kick my ass in this scene, and he was like that every single day. That brother is the next anything. I would put that on my mother. Like, he's wonderful. So
Yeah, this is a question for both of you. Talk a little bit about the way the film walks the line between being a love letter to brotherhood and a story about individual identity within the world of also, you know, embodying your Africanness, for lack of a better term, and, you know, and second, how that plays a part in you guys' lives as artists.
Okay, I'll go first. What do you think about it?
that's good.
I think for me, I didn't realize, like, I wrote the script, and then my DP, because he's not here, he's shooting a film in Romania. Everybody big time now. I can't.
I was gonna be like, where's Jonas? Of course, yeah,
He's shooting another feature in Romania. But he called me, he's like, he's been on every project I've done too. He shot Mass Ave, another short we just did. And he goes, I just realized something. This is a romance. I was like, what? He's like, it's a love letter. It's a romance film between two brothers. I said, no, it's not. I said, that ending scene is kind of like them running through the airport and shit. He's like, don't leave. I was like, oh wait, this is a romance scene. And I didn't even realize that. And I literally was like, oh, it is. And when he said that to me in pre-production, I think it kind of opened it up to me and allowed me to be like, this is me talking about how much I love my little brother. And he was there last night, but he's seen this movie 100 times, so he's not here. But usually I shout him out at this point. But
I actually hate that. Where is he?
He's gonna come back. He'll come back. But he is like my partner in crime, like my best friend. Anyone who knows me, he's with me all the time. Like, we don't do anything like together. He, funnily enough, after I made the movie, we never talked about it. He has moved to LA, and he is making a short film right now, which I did not like at the time. I just had a vibe. I was like, I feel like he would be like, hey, I'm writing this screenplay. I'm like, you're like in journalism school. Why are you writing a screenplay? And then he literally moved here, and now he's pursuing filmmaking. And it's really
an hour interview with him
before.
To get his mannerisms and all that. That brother is specific. I wish he was here. He's a very specific guy. So all the little kinks, that's him.
And I think I just wanted to speak to that, to how much I loved him, and how much that he means to me, and realizing that is like, you know, that's like one of the most important relationships in my life. He's my only brother. It's my only brother. It's one of the most important relationships in my life. And we fight, and we laugh, and we have ego and competition and all these things. And I just wanted to speak to that. And then to answer about the Africanness, I mean, that's a bigger question I can talk a lot about, but like that, if you can't tell from the film, is like a thing that I was struggling with at so many different stages of my life in so many different ways. And then it's hit me and confronted me in different ways in my life. Like, I think particularly the one that I always shout at is like, which I think is like the toughest scene in the movie, which is the relationship of Africans and African Americans. I wrote that scene, which is all facts, all real stuff happened to me, all real stuff I was dealing with my fiance when we were getting engaged, and like going home and having these hard conversations. And I put it in the screenplay, and I was like, this is too real. I might have to take this out. Like, this is like too real. And my mentor, Rob Sparrow, is in here today. in the back right there. Can we have a shout out for Rob Sperry? He taught me at AFI.
Shout out to mentors.
And I can tell you, I'm literally, this man changed my life. I'm only sitting on this stage because of that man right there. And he challenged me when I was writing scripts in school. And he was like, this is so surface. And Rob would be like, how on earth do you expect to make anything of note if you're not willing to go to those places that scare you the most? And so when I almost took it out of the screenplay, I feel like I heard Rob was in my room. I was on final draft and Rob came in. I was like, ah! And Rob was like, you got to put that in. And I left that in, and I can tell you that like, that has been some of the most conversations I've had after screenings, where people have come up to me and be like, oh, like I'm African and my partner's Black American. We're dealing with the same thing. You have no idea. Some woman wrote me an essay after Slam Dance. It was like 6 pages. And she was like, I feel so seen because I didn't know that other people were dealing with this thing that I'm dealing with. And we're married now and we're still dealing with this thing. And I just wanted to talk about how it goes both ways. Like, you know, I was growing up, people were bullying. The Burna Boy's cool now, but back in the day, it was African booty scratcher and all that stuff. But it's shifted, and I just wanted to talk about the complexities of both of that. So that's a long way of answering, but what do you say?
I feel like it's very interesting because the romance idea, it's always felt like a scene between, or a movie between a father and his son, in a weird way. Because I think the relationship between myself and Dillon is very like son and father. And he's also dealing with how he can deal with his father. And that's always how it's been for me in my life, where, you know, my dad, for reasons that we don't have to get into, wasn't exactly around when I was coming up. So, you know, my brother that passed, my brother that I have, shout out to Tunga, James Anassi, the love of my life, my older brother, they raised me. My older brothers raised me. I am a product of my older brothers. Those are my fathers. And the reverence that I think Shaku has to Alaji is something that I really, really see with you and your brother, and see with all these relationships, because sometimes when the father's not there, you have to do what you can, and the older brother kind of, without even realizing it, which maybe is something that is a burden that, I don't want to call it a burden, is a responsibility that the older brother just accepts. Like, oh, I have to raise this young man. This young man isn't going to know how to go left or go right if I don't do it. So I'm just going to show him. And I had a friend, I was just doing a program, and his friend said, it's so interesting how, you know, we're raised by boys. You know, we are boys being raised by boys. And what does that do to us, you know? And that's no shade to any of it, but that's what happens. That's what happens in this, you know, first generation life. You know, my brother is 2 years, 3 years older than me, and he raised me. And so I love that aspect of it, where it's like, of course he wants to be an actor. All I do is I watch you. I just watch you do everything, and I just want to be you. My dad doesn't talk to me. You know, it's just a different relationship. So, yeah, I love the romance aspect as also it relates to the father-son aspect of, like, you don't realize that exactly what you're so mad at your dad about is what I'm mad at you about. You won't listen to me, you won't talk to me, you won't see me as a person in the same way that he won't do that to you. So that's what I really loved about the sibling aspect. In these African relationships, we have to raise, we do what we can, we do what we must, and we have to raise each other. And I think we watched, and I thank y'all for that, because it's a slow movie. Like, it's a movie that nothing's happening. It's just two brothers figuring it out. You know what I'm saying? It's a brother raising a brother for 2 hours, and I love that. I think that's humanity to me. That's the kind of work I want to do for the rest of my life. So.
How do you guys feel about African stories and the way they're told today in major filmmaking, and where do you see them going? Where do you see the places that, you know, our industry can do better at raising these stories? Because we often get lumped together as just black stories. We, like, you go to a studio, you pitch a thing, I get it all the time, black story. A very small example of that I already started saying this, so please don't tell anybody this, but we, a couple years ago, sold the pitch to Bonnie and Clyde, to Warner Brothers. Discovery bought Warner Brothers. They killed our Bonnie and Clyde movie because the new people said it was Queen and Slim all over again, right? So you see there's this the pervasive nature of how black is black to certain people. But you make a film like this, and it's very clear that even within ourselves, we're having different experiences and have the need to tell different stories. And so, where do you guys see that going, and what do you think can be done to keep pushing it forward and improving it?
I want to let you expand on that actually, because I think what I'm going to say is not actually going to answer the question. What I have found is, with all the respect in the world, I do not care actually what the industry, what the world thinks that they want, what they're asking for. It gives me a lot of anxiety. It makes me take my Lexapro. Like, I'm not trying to do that. When I found Omar, I was almost on Dear White People. I was almost on this. I was almost on that, and none of these things worked. And I found Omar through something that I just like did on my own. And now to this day, shout out to Juilliard. Juilliard's great. But my career is going in a direction that is seeded from me meeting this man, which is something that I did because I liked him and he was telling a story that I wanted to tell. So, and all of my people told me not to do it. So I actually don't care. Like, I actually don't care what anybody thinks is supposed to be in the industry or what stories because I know that if I continue to tell the stories that I want to do, it'll be my best work. And I'll be happy and I'll be able to feed my family. And that's the end of the story for me. And I love that it has resulted in something like this, where I have a microphone in my hand and I'm sitting in front of people. That's crazy, because that wasn't the point, you know? It was just something I wanted to do. So, yeah, all that to say, for all the filmmakers in the room, just tell the story that you want to tell, and watch what happens. I think pretty good things would happen. But you should probably answer it in a way more.
You answered better than I could, but I think the other thing I'll say is, like, I think for me, I made this movie out of frustration from the industry. I feel like the industry wasn't welcoming me in and doing something, so I made this movie out of frustration, and then now all the things that have happened in my career is that I made this on my own, not waiting for them to let me do it. And so I think that speaks to what you're saying. But I think on the other hand, like, I think I'm in a phase, like a new phase now, I'm elevating, where it's like, okay, so I made this movie, we did it our way, the way we wanted to do. But now it's time to evolve that and to take our stories and put it in the commercial space. So half of my crew here is like the Ryback crew that I'm in this writing fellowship started by Dan Lynn. Ryback, what's up? Yeah. And we're writing BIPOC mainstream content. And so I'm doing like an action thriller in this that's about two siblings that it's like the new version of Man on Fire, where two African-American siblings literally get their little sister kidnapped and she's taken to Africa, and they have to go to a continent that's foreign to them because they were born here, to get her back. And so it's filled with these little conversations and these little things, but it's in a much more commercial packaging. You know, you get your popcorn and go on a Friday night, kick it up. Shout out to you for being here on a Thursday night, though. But I think that's the next goal, is to tell these stories in these spaces that are reaching wider audiences. And you just do it by putting in a little bit of a packaging that they can maybe take a little bit of medicine with a spoonful of sugar. I think that's the goal I'm looking for next.
Awesome, Laemmle. Two perfect answers.
Yeah.
You want to open it up?
Yeah, what time? Leo? Crowd question?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, we're good. Well, we can't.
Anybody? Questions? Answers? Concerns? Meditations?
Oh, there we go. Oh, we got you.
My question pertaining to the scene where Dillon kind of got the rejection call and how he lost motivation. I was curious in your career, like when you experienced that, how did you kind of get out of that like headspace, like that dark hole, I guess, get like right back on track?
I'm still trying to get out of that. No. I think, to be serious, like what I can speak to is the scene after that. So the self-tape scene where he takes the self-tape down and like, sure, he's like, they don't give a shit about us, which I think is Dillon's most beautiful work in the film. That scene was, I was writing with my writing partner. We were like, that was when we got signed, and like we were like taking meetings and doing the whole thing, and like nothing was happening. It was a lot of conversations. And I remember sitting there and being like, I had to take a job, so I took a job as a director's assistant, and that day they called me and were like, you got the job. And I was like, damn, I gotta take this job because like I need money. And I realized that like I'm not gonna be a filmmaker right now. I'm gonna be a director's assistant, assisting someone in their filmmaking. And I was very like upset by that. And so I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna make my own feature. And my writing partner was like, what? I was like, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not pitching anymore. I'm not doing that. Like I'm gonna make my own feature. And we got into this huge fight. And he was like, don't give up. We're like so close. Like don't give up. And I literally was like, they don't give a shit about us, bro. They don't give a shit. This is what you dreamed of since you were a kid. They don't give a shit about none of it. And I literally yelled at him. And he left. And I literally took everything that I wrote to him and I just copied and pasted in my notes. And when I wrote that scene, I just copied and pasted and put it in the final draft.
He's literally allowed to.
Every line that he says in that scene, I said to my writing partner that day. So it's a constant battle. Like I feel like I go through ups and downs. I just had my friend Ran, who's here, shout out. I was just in like a down like a couple months ago. And she was like, I just have people who pour into me. So I think that's how I get out of it. I have people like Tyree, who I didn't even know when you got here, but I see you in the back now.
What's good? Because you was in there hooping. I saw you.
I just got people like Tyree, people like Rare, these people who pour into me and tell me like, keep going. You got this, keep going. I think that's just how I deal with it. But it's, I'll be lying if I'm like, oh yeah, I got it figured out. It's touch and go.
And I'd love to say that I think it's so interesting that in the scene where he first presents the idea, you can hear like, oh yeah, it's not this, it's not that, yeah, but like this is, and the reason why he's doing it is because he wants his little brother to be proud of him. And I think on both ends, on both brothers' faults, that was the stem of the problem, where we are waiting for somebody to tell us we're important. And so we needed that. My sister right now is waiting for a job, right? And my entire family is like, oh, you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it. And I text her on the side and I go, I don't care if you get it or if you don't get it. You deserve that job. Are they stupid or are they not stupid? Like, it's just so I think that scene is so important because literally it's almost as if when he didn't get the role, it's like, yeah, so I'm worthless as a person. They should not decide that. And I think that is kind of masterfully, because this guy's an amazing screenwriter. It's masterfully kind of woven in through both of their stories, where you see like, oh, you are depending on, I'm happy he didn't, because if he did get it, then he would think, oh, of course I'm important because I got this job. And I don't know if you heard in the basketball scene, he makes a shot and he goes, that's why studios want me, da, da, da. It's like the value is so based on what other people like about you instead of like a value that's self-generated. And I think that's kind of stemmed from the beginning, so.
Thank you.
Back there.
So, can you talk about what your parents' reactions are to you going down this path in your life? And then in that sense, what's their reaction to this film itself?
My parents have not seen this film. I remember at AFI, Lulu Wong came and she was talking about The Farewell. And she was like, yeah, we made this movie about how like we hid from my grandma that she was dying. And everyone was like, so has your grandma seen the film? And she was like, no. And I remember feeling so seen because I was like, at that time I hadn't even shown my dad my previous film. But they had not seen this film yet. And I think their reaction to me going down this path is in the movie. Because I told my dad, I came home and I was like, Dad, I know what I want to do. I want to be a filmmaker. At that point, I was a neuroscience major in undergrad. And I was like, I mustered up the courage. I was like, let me say, he was neuroscience too. And I was like, Dad, I want to be a filmmaker. And he literally just like, he's eating. And also, even in our kitchen, like he sits at this island that's like a little bit higher than us. So it's like this is natural paradigm. Yeah. I'm like, Dad, Dad, I know what I want to do. And his spoon was hitting the plate. And I'm like, I want to be a filmmaker. And then he doesn't say anything. And he's just eating his cassava leaf. I hear a spoon, and he turns to me and he's like, if there's one thing you need to know about me, is I have a very strong will. If I never have to talk to you, then I'll never talk to you again. And he got up and left. And then I didn't talk to him for 6 months. Like, we didn't speak a word. And then I started making like these like web series, and then my mom started showing him my web series. And then he would like watch them, not tell me. And then when I got into AFI, he was like, he Googled it. He was like, okay, this is like a thing. And then when our show got on HBO, he literally was like, I know HBO. That's like a thing.
Yeah, I know HBO.
And then when we got into Slam Dance, it was one of the best moments of my life. He hasn't seen the film, and to them, I mean, they don't even watch films. So I don't even need him to see the film. But I called my mom after we won the audience award, and my dad was in the kitchen, And my mom's like, they won the audience award. And they call me Al at home, because my real name is Elijah Umaru Saidu Kamara, Elijah. They call me Al at home. And my dad's in the background, and I just hear him sing. You didn't know that?
What the hell?
That's my full name. And my dad's screaming. He goes, Al is gonna put the Kamaras on the map. He's gonna put us on the map. Put us on the map. So
now you're repping.
Now you're repping. So it's been a very crazy journey of that switch. But Rob Sparrow also told me, he was like, the story you telling is you and your dad, bro. That's the stuff that's the meat. Like, and surprise, surprise, every movie I've done is about secretly me and my dad.
My mom used to send me job applications.
But man,
Even when I was like getting jobs, like, Mom, it's gonna be okay. I think I'm gonna figure it out.
Which also I love that at the end of the movie, which is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, when Dillon calls the father. That was a day. That was a day on set. The father that picks up is the father from Mass Ave, who plays my father in the show. It's a little nugget. But yeah, it's in the same way. Like I remember when I told my dad that I got into Juilliard, and he went, "School again. Make some money. I mean, you do this and that." And I'm like, "Yo, Dad, this is like the Harvard of." He said, "No, because I haven't heard of it." I said, "You're a pharmacist. Why would you have heard of it?" Like, he said, let me, he hangs up on me, of course, does a little research, calls me back, and goes, "I always told you school was a good idea. This is amazing. I told you. Thank you for listening to me." It's so funny how fathers, and even when I sent him the ice bag. I always call it the ice bag scene, but the when Sheku finally tells his brother that he's not gonna do it, I sent him that scene, and his first response was, "Why is it so dark?" I said, "Oh, it's artistic. You know, we want to, film festivals, all that stuff." He said, "But you lighten it, Dad." I said, "Hey, Dad," because I'm 30 now. I said, "Hey, Dad, this is one of those moments where a good job would just be wonderful. Like, just hit me with a good job. That's what I need." So it's funny understanding that, like, they love us and they want to.
Just different ways of expressing.
Exactly. Their way of supporting us is pushing us. That brother is still not satisfied. He's still not satisfied, and he won't be, and that's fine.
You had to tell him it was the John Hopkins of acting, and he would have put it.
He would have got
together.
that.
He don't know.
He
who
would've-
John Hopkins is. Brother, look, that brother. None of it.
Okay,
How many more? One more.
One more. If there is one more. People are like, I'm trying to go home. Oh wait, now there's two.
Okay, two more.
Okay,
These
real
last two
quick.
right here.
All right, Vic, and then we'll come down.
I have nothing to say, bro. I'm super proud of you, man.
Oh, that is the sweetest shit I've ever heard.
Here's the thing.
Cry,
I'm not trying to cry up here,
cry,
but
cry.
I am surrounded right now by so many friends and family and so many people who like I think about when we came into AFI, like me, Tyree, Vic, Jordan, and we had all this ambition of things that we wanted to do. We had no idea what we were doing, and I mean, this man had his short play at Sundance. Netflix picked it up. Like, Tyree had his short play at Sundance. He's now signed by Ryan Coogler's agent.
Yeah.
To sit here and to hear that from you, who saw me when I just came from Virginia and you ain't know what was going on, I love you, bro. It means the world.
Wait, who got a short on Netflix? Shout it out. Tell people about your movie. Who got it?
No, he's both their shorts play Sundance. He is developing with Netflix. Big.
Okay.
His short's called Hallelujah.
Okay. Congratulations. Last question.
Go for it, bro.
Oh, just like one thing I always hear, like Denzel Washington say is the universal is in the specific.
Yeah.
And I just was wondering, like it's very personal stuff that you're putting up there on screen. I really appreciate it. And it's like, when did you feel that you trust yourself? That what I'm saying matters and people will connect with it, even though it's very specific. With our African culture, Black culture, within the writing. When we're shooting it, editing it, like when do you know, like I know what I'm doing, I know people will connect to this.
That's an excellent question. I heard you whisper.
I mean, that's such a big part.
I actually think how I would phrase that is, I think a very important part of filmmaking for all the filmmakers in the audience is like delusion. And And like at some point, we're all under the impression like people need to see this. They got to see this. I got something to say. And so during the process, like I can't tell you like how much I believed that like this movie needed to happen, and it was the most important movie that needed to happen. Me and Leo, when we were making the movie, we did not have the funding to complete the movie when we were like about to shoot. And so Leo comes to me, he's like, bro, we can shoot the first week, but like at the last week, I don't know how we're gonna pay people. And I'm literally like, Leo, it's gonna happen. It's fine. And so I remember I was drinking wine, and we had this meeting, I'm drinking wine, and Leo was like, bro, we're $20,000 short. I'm like, Leo, it's gonna happen. It's gonna come. It's gonna happen. And Leo's like, bro, I don't know. He's like pulling his hair out, and literally on that call, I'm like, pour myself a glass of wine. It's gonna happen. And literally on that call, and I kid you not, it's like, I can show you the email. I get an email, and all the emails from like the last investor we pitched, and she just says, I'm in for $20,000. And it's moments like that where I'm like, okay, this is validation. I'm supposed to be doing this. And then at the time, the delusion was driving me, but now I'm telling you, we've been since January taking this film out. We played at 16 festivals so far. Got more coming up. The conversations, thank you. The conversations I've been having after the film, the DMs, the messages, the email. That's how I know it was worth it. Because people are like, someone at the screen yesterday goes, are we related? That's like my dad. Like I'm dealing with this. My dad. People come to me like, I called my dad after watching this film. It's those conversations that make the delusion worth it. At the time, I don't know what I was thinking.
I love. I mean, I don't have an answer to. I just want to echo what you said. The universal is in the specific. Tell your story, and people will relate to it. You know, you don't have to be African. You don't have to be black. You don't have to be anything. You don't have to be brothers to understand what these men are going through. That's one. Like, I love that, and I think that's. Man, I can't echo enough how much that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And if I do nothing else but work with men like this and, find short films or indies or, 99-seat theaters and do the specific to represent the universal, if I do that for the rest of my life at $250 a month, I'll be fine. I think. I'll be happy, And I think if we all do that, the world will have art that actually is effective. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great note to end on. Omar, congratulations. Thank you guys for coming out and tell everybody about African Giants.
Thank you guys.